Well, that was a recap, but so yes, I can. That's the challenge now is what is keeping the finance minister. So, Betty Abana, what me abedi in common, I say, probably all the final touches be.
Possible, say, be an COVID-19 spacing,
yeah.
Humbo Moyano, and also Kahuna might be a delay, be a crabber. And the air can say, Obaka, dear baby, and ne, near bedin como. And you know, a baby moves.
But the suspense is becoming too much. You're showing him, oh my 10. You are coming to do the normal Ghanaian thing, apologize. And then that's it. Is that the case?
My home come about the Yabotre. Now, I want to tell you because they be a man to 2 years now. I send me Cobanzo, so I know so had some myself, tram worker. And they may help I say, Enchibiano on Beba. Now, commonly, and Comoa, EBD, into no, or turn a bono banner.
Okay, so then drift quickly near you're up to 6 August, yeah, to finish up with a registration exercise.
Yes.
So far,
so good.
So good?
So far, so good, yes.
Even in the midst of gunshots, so good?
Opening gunshots in the a week more.
But that's so good.
But these are things ACC. Anytime be a better dean, a bay, you know, a number win in ICC. And the key thing I mean, who said, a where you will be. If I saw Bain, any bit to me, I put to this number 2. Very painful. So, Banda as a more by very painful. Ujun who I want to say. Na Nipan Chaseka crown is here. But Anya Bassani, Bobon Pie, say, Yankopo Betchere, Bushia rare. Now, any award, honey, now, yet the Edusiaka says, I do a BCB. A dinka can hear control biamra and metro di dini and coffee and no one to qua if he in a buy. Ain't you know, Tiaseka Carabajuma, but I dear way no. Yan share, set it, a true dear, son your way, a tacity. When yet they chattel. Oh, Peace Council, and civil society organization, more interest. Don't constitute a young wage manka cracker. But as I say, in United, once I say a dintro, new way, no, and your dear is their coffin to cover. Now it be called two and I say because yeah basa baby and yes I
say basu because it's like the other side says that mama a new definition to who a Ghanaian is. What the constitution says about who a Ghanaian is and more definition with them who a Ghanaian is. Yanko quickly back to Parliament. Your correspondent on the era to force in Akasa 18 community be back.
Yet the Waba Parliament have Obeno, Obebe Chia, MPP MPs. Na MPP MPs in Waka Channel there, or your media review on Fabi Beach. It's all a tron for Ayakamasi. It's all a tron for what I or politics. No, Pascal, Papa no Waba, or a tron for budget to all a tron for. Yet Hannah was quite a meeting. A offended with the finance with the majority caucus. And we're meeting or the input for Fraba, one church or Yama being system. And Yama, one Husika, one church system last minute to good all
no,
and then you think it's right. You don't do that. You don't do that. You see, no finance minister allows himself or does things like this. Into the oral policies here, no, they're patching there. Your budget no about review or by your budget for into your training. How they sabotage send up already you do too. Do I have that own support, the can support it, and who has some day to me.
And then I'll show anymore as far as
oh, that training my day. Or the in Namibia, I buy known to me or couple session budget. No, I can't go to my now or the two for two the Ghana food.
Saying how?
Oh, but that I good to catch them. 1 village, one down. $1 million, one constituency. Second, some back. Meanwhile, this also I be so called constituency. You came here for could have wasted. I say $3 million. After Basa, oh, me, on overcome has a deal. See, yeah, you're trying.
You're kids that what a joker.
Oh, the skepticism. Already, Jesus cried about budget and the because away, yes, now Jesus already tried to.
But I'm not sure for floor. Really?
Oh, there and say some more
because minister about that. But I'm not sure for floor, you know, or more train. I'm only problem. Would they don't maybe I'm going to train.
At the end of the day, no. Say try to floor. Now you try to for say a beboa. Say they say problem be anyhow. But yes, it be a try for. But on they said the other car no. I'm saying be a meeting be on more you know who here. And I say to three be on more you say be ya the be here Ghana for the better Ghana for assume them akuma so. And on more you who juma the any be train. Say the wa ka yen. Oba che dware any an or say oba the other can be boy and toyable. And this is for the appropriate.
What are the opportunity new?
Yeah.
What's up to Natiagui?
Nothing new. They are not economy now. Muja and no money away. Nothing new now. No can new. Boy. I dare nothing new. No, and I'm not yet Timu or my breast. But the almost say new. And you know, maybe I know na own who knows. And I also and pay. Na me tie Adom FM. Amebano. Na obi free. No kase. Na ono or shesenka and this or independent. And you know, on the other hand, NDC for at the adjoin such a beba, about cancer for be to Ghana for trim. Now I shall sort to aba. But the omo ye, our mode beera done a bicy, but almost fast adjoin who for be ambano. Now that no more ye and one or more case, umbe de say ya na Omasa Baba yedia. And your idea on over to Abama. Even though you're independent. Not just as independent, you know, this side is over to Abama and another Nango go for the MPP. Enti there are team we are saying skepticism in the NK na moki who is not something about bomb. Omo faji who from bra. Nka okay no akase so there omo sha say a woman say ba na enimu a no akase ye kai say konisi but an konisa. Okay,
back to our conversation. In your region, why are you frustrating people?
Water region. Interestingly, no, the first week registration is started here. No? I spent the whole week in Water region. Frustration be anyhow. In terms of citizenship, no, frustration be anyhow. No crow on my NSA. On say border no, I think say I apply to all the border regions. No. Say the eche mu arbitrarily no. Nipa ewo afa ni afa no. Ebushia wo. But nipa no a akwako di Togo no a eya NDC for did say na we mu ye Ghana for no makoka we no nipa no ansore nkasa oman me pese me ba Ghana betro me din na me Ghana ni o omo nkasa o NDC for na koho kasa o bra no mo se sankrofo se ye bra betro di nipa na mpese obeba ono ti ni Togo ana wo te ho a obo ne bra onye na adwen se oba Ghana onye na adwen se obetra Ghana onye na adwen se obeye business bia o Ghana otini Togo no ote ho se ne busia ase efi Ghana en de nya asem afa na ho because ye nyina if baby na buy se nka wo hwe was abako se mo ye fi somewhere in Nigeria ne hifa en ne buy this ade en ge se ye ne ate Ghana etumi sori ko Nigeria se beto abade bi because ho na ya sefi o de ase en na Ghana fo nyina ya sefi baby ne ya ba beduru ha enti baby a efi no se ho ye kuro na ye kuro a mo so ye to abade a se o man se entu e se etumi sori ne ye kosa kuro no so ha na ya sefi enti e ba beto aba yes ani ye no.
Is that what is going on?
And Hannah near this for you. Until the Omo Yan said, Omo ba, no who so Richard, the best your agent. Kohona call recruiting Crofobra, number register. And to me call, number to be recruit nipa 100 or mine, Omo Babe register, or whom she cannot be Tiami. Sadly, way is not appropriate. Oh, yes, Ghana Hakra, you walk around a BC uncle trading. You see, until a new compulsory. Send nipa na se fi hanti ko somobra nti NDC for create because say omo pese omo frustrated system no omo akofo omo ba omo se fi ha fine say obebi a ya se fi ne kokoto abade a na say abato kora no yema trade obi a wa se fi ha bia no bra na beto aba so nti no anya no kora say ya frustrated obi ti Togo na wakoso ne sase ombra beto aba ono no beto aba say opegana koso na say onim issues
but say omo nkasa sa kwa that's why probably and they know that one sent you for share one utira samija utira Elvis they are ombenya sa kukudu na kase money oppose for na sra for na ba ko dia Sa post for na asra for na mo no mabo man ba ko no. Omo so bere so a they will teach them a lesson.
Openi sa asem we ese nyina Ghana fo kabom na ka kire NDC fo se enye nkoso kasa no. Ansem na no mo ka no. Me hwa na me ho adwure me se adan ne yama kwan ma sa ne ma we.
Na se bibia nkoka papa enje twere de.
Na de aka papa na oje twere de no. Eno no ye kwan pa so a no kasa asem we. De na koka omo. De pa ne asem aka omo. Omo ntumi mfam ra kwan so. Hwe Fourth Republic omo a ewini anase judicial system a benefit omo Ghana pa ye NDC for. What they say omo kura wini election 4-year mandate or court. Nti dey na ye wunti a wunti fa asem court. 4-year mandate they rule Ghana ha wini no court. Adenti na wonya didi and use court system no and fan deal with anything I will share and emra amanfo edi odi okroma. So they are just being plain irresponsible and violent because omo flag bearer ka say omo no basabasa yomu ene ye wo omo enti omo jemu say mo de basabasa yo ade uko voter region na omo ka say na mo obi ko tutu before is a tutu e ko to no kaso yi aye nyina ye condemn say ante say bibi basa esunafo side hon ya papa Collins Dauda and the boys said your mo hwe nipa bro nipa hon na mo jane ye tukunto call registration center na da ho side da be no betra radio so condemn us behavior and I say TV so here press conference condemn Collins Dauda and your ma breso no bi ka so mo de mo kun nipa de bia da be no mo here press conference ekun ekasati asaso bai na ene omo te ho yes ade we irresponsible talk ka say na mo retaliate mo mobilize na me hwa na me tell say mpenifo e wo party the move still and say
ohufo a oto ne bema they probably they are fed up because in Framantem voter region odawa pray near them for card chest
anya no kure obeni anya no kure krampo da sa die we a NDC fo gu so te Ghana ha ye no anya no kure da na se be na ye moki awa ba ko rawo dem se fa card bra mo de ye den anya no kure da hwe NDC for oye nkrophobia eya omo the benefit from fear and panic nti omo sorry a ye be boni pa hu ni aka se machine ni patrimu say Ghana show that's all the benefit for okay 2008 ni wo mu campaign omo ye ekrubu na corruption na debe nsem omo ka nyina no kura ba kokura mpo ni mu abesi ne
okay mentro you start to speak at na say now almost all is set now me sure say any moment from now omo parliamentary kasani we pe na my finance minister ko abana na man mbodi no odi to ho prekope e dia mai so back to the conversation nothing of a sort in the vote
no na me say me no kasi me wo cousins ni aunties mo omo tetogo omo mfra me mpo fa phone ka jem say e be trade obi ankae omo chombe bi na omo bo omo bra ho any for na kwashe omo say omo bra because o man sa for no ko for omo ba omo no omo Togo what I say enti omo ba Ghana ha no a aba on beto no de wo akere omo so omo nkoto no omo nkoto what I say eno no omo amangasa make decisions as citizens because they don't have a stake directly ade na wo omo kwakwa no omo ni enhunsusu aso no affect omo enti obi sa no oba beto aba mayen na o select obi a ommo ayen enam say obi ahye ne kutupa na sa ama discuss on beto no oto sa aba no oba be ha ye nyina because nipo na akoto aba ma no anya obi abeboa Ghana ono no so emfa no ho so oto sa aba no but the point in it say ye ne wo Ghana no ye ne ye hwe de ye de beboa ye ne ato so aba so wokofo obi a ade no so aso no affect na sa aba bi opa bi otometo no okọ
okay so back to our screens this is live from Parliament House bibi dia dance honorable chairman Sabonsu and before no I na do so ye didn't for you begin so one judge na Ntiasma Oka Jackson, can you let us in anything come on mudi wonum na fe aduna kata
na mask you
aduna kata enimi nyina do ahwe akobodi ya abo achia no enti de ho no speaker de okenkan bibi ho enti mejiri se omonyo mani biana wono kenkan enti bibi di adanse se enche bibi abeko kama I'm pretty more. I bet you your come kakra. Yeah.
Na ọba ene ebe o test say only more MPs.
Honorable members, communication from the President. Mr. Speaker, 22nd July 2020, absence from Ghana. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I'll be traveling outside the country in the morning of Thursday, 23rd July 2020, to Bamako, capital of Mali. The visit is an invitation of the chairperson of the authority, heads of state and government of ECOWAS. His Excellency Issoufou, President of the Republic of Niger, to join 5 regional leaders comprising the presidents of the republics of Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, Nigeria, and Senegal to assist in the resolution of the current political crisis in Mali. I returned to Ghana in the evening of the same day. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 60 sub 8 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, the President. Honorable members, votes and proceedings, 22nd July, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. 7. Page 8. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Page 899, Premotobre Kasee, noted absent, but I was here yesterday. I was here yesterday.
And conspicuously so. Thank you very much. Page 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, Honorable.
Now, Speaker, in respect of page 10, and I'll relate it to page 12, when you accordingly said that, Right Honorable Speaker, referred the subscriptions. If there was any subscription, it's only one. But even the subscription in item II, we only see the AFDB of UAE 1.82. We have always advised the table office to ensure that the dollar equivalent of that amount is what appears in our record. So if you say UA 1,824,000, 140,000, nobody will understand. And then we should separate the agreements you refer to the finance committee and just deal with the subscription in II to stand alone. Thank you. 10 and 12.
Honorable, are you responding from your seat or you want to make a point?
There were 2 subscriptions referred to the committee. One on page 9, Roman 1. And then the second one, which he referred to on page 10, Roman 2. So the table is right in capturing it as the subscriptions and agreements.
So, in effect, there's no difficulty. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Yes, Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Chairman.
page 18, item 16, the Minerals Income Investment Fund Amendment. Debate concluded, Mr. Speaker. The only thing we didn't do was to approve the question. Debate concluded, and if the first deputy speaker who was in the chair, yes, debate concluded. As a matter of fact, we were getting ready to put the question when the minority leader said he was going to call for a head count. So if debate had not concluded, how was he going to call for a head count? Debate concluded. The only thing outstanding is for the question to be put, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Speaker, debate could not have been concluded on that subject. Indeed, I rose and then indicated that we had some objections to the bill, particularly in a paragraph which sought to oust the authority of the Public Financial Management Act and other related issues to a special purpose vehicle. So nobody even from our side. It was just Honorable Inus of Husseini and myself. So we said that if the Speaker wanted to proceed further, we'll invoke our standing orders to subject it to a vote. And he respected that and said he would defer. Then I said the leader was out of town. Therefore, we needed to subject it to more consultation. And the Honorable Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation proffered some advice. Thank you.
Yes.
Even Hansard will bear me out when I said debate had concluded. And members on the other side, they intimated, they asked whether I was even the speaker to say debate had concluded. Debate concluded. The only thing outstanding is for the question to be put. We were on this for almost 45 minutes. So I don't know why the table would. And, okay, the Minister.
Honorable members, very well. It was consideration stage. It was second reading of the bill. And the majority side was to wind up. Therefore, debate was not concluded. If the majority side was to wind up, and the debate is not concluded, let's leave it at that. Because whatever it is, we can continue positively. Let's have a purposive application of the rule here. Well, incidentally, Honorable Doctor, I've ruled. We shall, at the appropriate time, we shall have a purposive conclusion of it. Whatever any honorable member says is left, we deal with it and kill that stage of the bill. So shall we please proceed? 18. Page 19. Page 20. 21. And page 22. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of 22nd July, as corrected, is hereby admitted as true record of the proceedings. At the commencement of public business, we make a little variation in order and take item listed 5. Honorable Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we can begin with item number 5, except I've been told that a member wants to have us, that is the House, have a second consideration of an aspect of the bill that we ran through the consideration stage. It is not a very huge matter. I think it's something that we can deal with. I've had some consultations with the minority, and I guess we can deal with it now.
Well, thank you very much. That's very much in order. Consideration stage. Who is that? No. Very well. Honorable Majority Leader, who is moving. Very well. I didn't see anyone standing. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Standing Orders 131. And Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence and your leave, I move that the clause 104 captured in the order paper of 21st July 2020, which was moved and accepted and adopted, be taken through a second consideration stage. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion. She said clause 104. Mr. Speaker, this morning the Majority Leader consulted with me. It's just the word original and duplicate that she wants to improve the bill. I so second the motion. Thank you.
Very well. All those in favor? All those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. We shall go through the second consideration stage. If the Marshal will please. Thank you very much. Now, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm seeking to delete the words from clause 104.
Clause, you are dealing with clause?
104. A traditional clause and an additional clause, an additional subclause 4, which reads, where the original of a deed of document cannot be provided, a duplicate or a certified true copy of the deed or document may be accepted by the land registrar for registration if the land registrar is satisfied with the authenticity of the duplicate or certified copy. Mr. Speaker, I believe strongly that we need to delete the word a duplicate because we live in an age where a question of trust, the issue about trust, has always been an issue, even with people, very close family members. I believe that a duplicate is a semblance of the original copy, but a certified true copy is always an authentic one, which can only be requested by the owner of that property. And I believe that if we open our doors for just the presentation of a duplicate, we might put the properties under jeopardy, considering the current occurrences in our country. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I support the amendment, and it will be instructive, Mr. Speaker, to hear from the first Deputy Speaker and probably Honorable Inusa Hussaini. When we got to this particular clause, I even was insisting that at the end of the words, we should add original to it. But her explanation is that you must have a duplicate to obtain a certified copy of the original. If that is the case, then you don't need to repeat the word duplicate. Other than that, we may be passing a legislation that tomorrow people will just trade in photocopies of documents, and that can create problems for us. So a request for second consideration to delete the word duplicate is sound, and I support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Hussein.
Mr. Speaker, the provision in 104 makes room for the original of the document to be available, and a duplicate of the original, and a certified true copy of the original. These are three different scenarios. Now, what we are amending to presume is that the person who has a certified true copy must have made it from the original copy. In law, the certified true copy can only be authenticated when the person authenticating the certified true copy sees the original. If they don't see the original, it cannot be authenticated as a certified true copy. That is why this law provides that a duplicate. So if the land registrar is satisfied that the duplicate that the person has presented, mind you, a copy of the land registry document will be with the land registry. So if the land registrar is satisfied that a duplicate of the land, the document is Mr. Speaker, when you are speaking and the Minister of Defense interjects, you have to stop and listen, because you could be sounding a warning. So if the original is not available, then you are not going to get a certified true copy. And that means the owner of the document will not be able to register the document at all. It's not possible. So we are looking, that is why the three provisions have been put there. I understand the reasoning behind it, but it might work against the original owner of the document. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So we are settled. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. All those against say no. The ayes have it. And the question is, clause 130 as amended stands part of the bill. And all those in favor say aye. The clause is 104. As amended stands part of the bill. And all those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 104 as amended stands part of the bill. That brings us to the end of the constitution stage.
You don't.
Thank you very much. Honorable Majority Leader, do you proceed with item 5?
That is so, Mr. Speaker. We can now deal with item number 5.
Item listed 5, Minister of Lands.
And Speaker, if I may, the minister is out of town, so we will engage, if we indulge the Deputy Minister to hold the fort for the Minister and move the motion listed as item number 5.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Speaker, I believe our colleague, the Deputy Minister, invoked Order 131, which earlier was to arrest the third reading of the bill by the Minister. Having gone through the second consideration stage, I'm sure it's understandable for the Deputy Minister to move for the third reading on behalf of the Minister. Thank you.
So we can make progress. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the Land Bill 2019 be now read the third time. And, Mr. Speaker, in so doing, I wish to say that
Yes, Minority Leader. Honorable Minority Leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The motion has been duly moved and seconded. I'll put a question. All those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
An act to revise and consolidate the laws on land with a view to harmonizing those laws to ensure sustainable land administration and management, effective land tenure, and to provide for related matters.
The Land Bill 2019 is duly read the third time and passed. Item listed 8.
Yes, Speaker, item number 7.
Number 7?
Item 7.
Yes. Procedural motion. Honorable Minister for Aviation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that motion number 7 on page 3 of today's order paper, that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 81.
Honorable, please don't read it all.
Thank you.
Please move it without reading it all.
I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Who seconds the motion, the procedural motion? Thank you very much.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
The procedural motion has been duly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Motion number 8. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Aircraft Accident Investigation and Prevention Bill 2020 be now read the second time. Mr. Speaker, the bill we're seeking to move is a simple, straightforward bill that seeks to establish the Accident Investigation Bureau that would investigate, prevent, regulate, and establish the management of accidents and incidents that occur within the country. Mr. Speaker, we all know that airport operations and air transport operations are fairly safe and very fundamental in moving people and goods from place to place and also generating significant revenues for national development. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has done quite well in this regard and is regarded highly globally for doing so well in the aviation sector. Since 2012, Mr. Speaker, Ghana has recorded, unfortunately, 4 major accidents and numerous serious incidents, some involving deaths of persons and damage to property. Mr. Speaker, since the President established the vision of making Ghana the aviation hub of West Africa, Ghana has done its best to try and attain this vision. Since 2019, Mr. Speaker, we've been able to amend the Ghana Civil Aviation Act 2004, Act 678, and Section 25 mandated the minister to be able to issue ministerial directives to get the operations of accident investigations done as a unit within the Aviation Ministry. Mr. Speaker, research has shown under international civil aviation functions that we need to set up an autonomous body to be able to do this independent of the ministry, independent of the authorities. Mr. Speaker, therefore, the nation seeks to be able to enhance its status globally by resorting to best practice and setting up an autonomous and independent investigation body. The experience we've noticed in other parts of the world, Mr. Speaker, even some close to home like Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Tunisia, and others far away like Singapore, Qatar, and the United States of America, have all established autonomous aircraft accident investigations within their jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, we seek under this bill to ensure that an independent body is established and that we are able to produce the results that are acceptable globally, that will make Ghana stand tall in the Committee of Nations as far as the investigation is concerned. Mr. Speaker, the proposed transformation of the Bureau into an independent bureau by the establishment of the bill would therefore empower the Bureau to function efficiently and effectively, and its findings will invariably receive international credibility whilst promoting air safety and a positive national image globally. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, this bill is simple, straightforward. It's meant to enable us to set up an autonomous entity outside the ministry, and this bill, therefore, Mr. Speaker, if so passed, would help us to be able to get into the status where the nation would be one of the best in the world, given the high record that we established last year. Mr. Speaker, in these few words, I beg to move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to associate myself with the motion on the floor. And in so doing, Mr. Speaker, I want to present your committee's report. Mr. Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence and ask the Hansard Department to pick the entire report as I read highlights of the report. Mr. Speaker, I'll go straight to objectives of the bill. The objective of the bill is to establish an autonomous aircraft accident investigation and prevention bureau, a corporate body to investigate, prevent, regulate, and enable management of aircraft accidents that occurred in the country. Mr. Speaker, the Aircraft Accident Investigation and Preventive Law Bill 2020 put Ghana in a league with national and international ICAO obligation and best practices and its compliance with international aviation standards. The passage of the bill, the Speaker, is expected, among others, to boost Ghana's case in being aviation hub of West Africa. The committee recommends to the House to approve its report and pass the Aircraft Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau Bill 2020. Objective to the attached amendment, that is Appendix A, in accordance with the requirement of ICAO for member states. I respectfully submit them, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable, you have not formally seconded the motion. Very well. Now, there will now be a full debate on the principles of the bill and in line with the accompanying memorandum. Yes, Honourable.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I rise to speak in support of the motion, and in so doing, Mr. Speaker, I make the few observations. Mr. Speaker, as said by the Minister and the Chairman, Ghana's credentials in the aviation industry is growing. Indeed, in 2019, Ghana Kotoka International Airport was adjudged the best improved in Africa, not even in West Africa. It is simply because of the investments and strategies that have been taken over the years. Significantly, the improvement at Terminal 2 and Terminal 3. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw the attention of the Minister and the Chairman to this. We are trying to establish the Accident and Incident Investigation Bureau. This is based on ICAO annexes, especially Annex 13 and 26. What that annex talks about is aircraft accident and incident investigation. However, the motion moved is for Aircraft Accident Investigations and Prevention Bureau. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, not all situations involving aircraft end up in accidents. Some are just incidents, as pointed out by the Minister. So we need to be clear whether we are setting up a bureau to deal with aircraft accident and incident investigation and prevention bureau. So the Minister can take that on board and deal with it at appropriate time. Mr. Speaker, the creation of this body gives Ghana the opportunity to have an independent body. But arguably, Mr. Speaker, as others said, the President will be appointing the Commissioner under Article 195, and the same President will be appointing the governing body under Article 70. How independent they will be depends on the people actually who will be carrying out this. I know it's not peculiar to this, but that is what our Constitution says, that the President appoints these people. Mr. Speaker, the setting up of this bureau per se may not deal with the issue. We would have to set up this bureau and resource them appropriately to be able to do what is expected of them. I hope that this bureau, when established, would not have undue government influence, and they will be able to carry out their mandate according to the ICAO conventions. Mr. Speaker, when we get to the stage of doing the bill itself, I just want to draw the attention of colleagues. Maybe 80% of the clauses are lifted directly from the ICAO conventions. So it is not necessarily the case that when we take a clause and you don't like it, you can say, I want it this way. Mr. Speaker, that is not permissible. Contracting countries, once you sign the convention, you cannot change some of the conventions. I see the minority leader shaking his head. You cannot, majority leader, sorry. You cannot fundamentally change any of the provisions contrary to what the annexes say in the clause. I know we haggle over is or in this House for a long time. Mr. Speaker, I want to shorten my presentation by saying this is a very good thing to further enhance the credentials of our country. We believe when this bureau is set up, it will make or consolidate Ghana's position as an aviation hub in the sub-region. But we believe that the investments that were made, that made Ghana a beacon of aviation in Africa, needed to continue. We need to do more in investment in aviation. Setting up the bureau alone may not be enough. I know we are on a downturn currently because of COVID, but God willing, we shall rise again as a country in aviation and be able to do these things and to make sure civil air travel in our country a safer way of travel for everybody. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I support the motion and urge colleagues to equally support the motion for the establishment of the Bureau. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable. Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to associate myself with the motion. Mr. Speaker, the Aircraft Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau is the right thing to do at this moment in time. Mr. Speaker, when you take the Ghana aviation industry currently, per capita, we are the aviation hub for West Africa. Mr. Speaker, and therefore, establishing this bureau is important by moving it from administrative arrangement to an autonomous independent body. I believe that the reports of this committee in investigating and publishing in the prevention of further accidents is key to growing our aviation industry. Mr. Speaker, if you take countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, Tunisia, Singapore, Qatar, Netherlands, United States of America, among others, have already established their bureaus, and this has enhanced their aviation industry. In fact, if you take a country like Egypt, their engineering department alone employs over 5,000 engineers. The total Egypt Air arrangement gives employment of over 35,000. And therefore, the aviation industry is one key industry that when we do it well and sustain it properly, we are sure to use it to create employment for our own people. In fact, it is for this reason that I support the creation of this bureau, because when everybody knows that Ghana is safe, more planes will be landing in Ghana and more jobs will be created in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, in passing or working on this bill, it also gives credence that Ghana adheres to recommendations that are usually given to us by auditors. In fact, in the last International Civil Aviation Organization validation mission in Ghana in 2019, Ghana scored very high. And in fact, at the last General Assembly, Ghana was awarded. In fact, it was taken by the Honorable Minister of Aviation, Honorable Kofi Ada, in Montreal, Canada. Clearly, that shows that Ghana is doing something. That shows that Ghana is up there. But it cannot be up there if we don't sustain it. And that is why it is important that an accident and prevention bureau bill is worked on in this House and passed accordingly into an act so that we can appoint the commissioners and make sure that the work that they do, which currently is on ad hoc basis, can be more sustainable. In fact, the last time we did an investigation on just a simple excursion of an aircraft on a runway, the Speaker, it took us more than 4 months, and it cost us so much money to do so, and it was not sustainable. It is time that we have an agency that is independent, that is autonomous, and that can stand the test of time, so that when they investigate and they publish everywhere in the world, they can comply to the standards that the world is looking up to. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I wish to support and associate myself with the motion. Thank you very much.
Very well, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I also rise to support the motion on the floor. Mr. Speaker, in speaking to the motion, I just want to make 2 brief comments on the report. One of it is to share an observation. Airports and countries are rated by the International Civil Aviation Authority. Mr. Speaker, by passing this bill in this House, what it would do is to give Ghana a star rating in the aviation sector. And once Ghana has a star rating in the aviation sector, not only would it, put us in good light, but it gives workers in Ghana in the aviation sector an opportunity to go and do part-time work in other airports across the world. Mr. Speaker, having said this, the second issue is the funding of the activities of this bureau. Mr. Speaker, aircraft accident and incident investigation is very, very expensive. I'm glad that 5% of the airport tax would be used to fund the activities of the bureau, 5% of the airport tax. But, Mr. Speaker, we need to be sure, 1.5 rather, we need to be sure it is done in a manner that gives the bureau a lot of resources, taking into consideration the expensive nature of investigating incidents and accidents. And Mr. Speaker, I say so because currently airports around the world are not operating at full capacity. So what that means is that the airport tax that countries get
may not be enough, judging by the fact that flights are not flying regularly. So in passing this, we would have to have at the back of our minds that probably from now till sometime next year, airports may not be fully operational, and for which reason we need to lock some funds to be able to support the Bureau in times when the civil aviation industry is not having a lot of resources to do its work. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there's a correction on page 1, the last paragraph of the report. We don't need the word "to." So it should read, its enviable reputation predates Ghana's attainment of independence. And that should be taken into consideration. With this, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to the report, and urge my colleagues to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, it has been suggested that since this bill is dependent or is in furtherance of a treaty that Ghana has entered into, with regards to when we come to the consideration of the bills, we should, as it were, hold our horses in terms of trying to change anything, since we have signed the treaty and therefore are bound by the terms of the treaty. Mr. Speaker, I found that curious until I averted my mind to Article 75(2) of the Constitution. And with your permission, if I may read, it says that the President may execute or cause to be executed treaties, agreements, or conventions in the name of Ghana, and a treaty, agreement, or convention executed by an order under the authority of the President shall be subject to ratification by an act of Parliament. And so, Mr. Speaker, it seems to me that what we'll be doing basically is, by this act of Parliament, ratifying the agreement that Ghana has entered into. So therefore, I agree with the general principle that our hands are, as it were, tied when it comes to the provisions of the act, or the bill, which have been, as it were, taken away or duplicated from the treaty that we have signed. Mr. Speaker, there is no doubt that it is important, it's a good bill, and I do not share the concern or the possibility of lack of independence. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution must be seen as a whole. Public officers are bound by, for example, Article 23 of the Constitution, which says that administrative officers must act in a certain way. We are also mindful of Article 296. So, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support it, and I pray that members also are in agreement with the Executive, the Ministry of Aviation, and support the passing of this bill when the time comes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leadership.
Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I yield to the Honorable Nelson Davenport to conclude for the Minority Leadership. Thank you.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice for the call of this House to adopt the present report. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, it's very important that we understand the procedure that the House is adopting in handling this report. Mr. Speaker, on the 14th of this month, the bill was presented and read for the first time. And pursuant to Article 106, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, if I may read. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 106, subclause 4, and it states that whenever a bill is read the first time in Parliament, it shall be referred to the appropriate committee appointed under Article 103 of this Constitution, which shall examine the bill in detail and make all such inquiries in relation to it as the committee considers expedient or necessary. Mr. Speaker, if I may add Article 106, subclause 5, it says where a bill has been deliberated upon by the appropriate committee, it shall be reported to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, This is the procedure the House is adopting. And it's also in pursuance of our own standing orders, as in Standing Order 189. Mr. Speaker, the government underpinning the agency to passing this bill, Mr. Speaker, is contained in paragraph 3 of the minister's letter to the office of the president. Indeed, in paragraph 3 of that letter, it detailed the circumstances under which the passage of the bill into an act will help to further improve our standing in view of the impending ICAO committee that will be arriving in the country to conduct another review in 2021. Mr. Speaker, the other essence of considering the bill and the certificate of urgency is further contained in paragraph 3 of the report from Cabinet to the committee, which also detailed. In essence, it speaks of the fact that during the 2029 ICAO visit to the Republic of Ghana for a review, 2019 visit of ICAO team to the Republic of Ghana to conduct another review, they recommended strongly that the existing bureau as an administrative wing of GCA be actually converted into an independent body capable of handling the matters that the bill seeks to be says with. So, Mr. Speaker, we are proceeding on the Constitution, what it says that we should do. Mr. Speaker, I believe that it would be important for us to appreciate a few air accidents that have happened in this country, which makes it very imperative that this bill be passed quickly so that we can be in readiness for 2021. Mr. Speaker, in 1978, a Navarro Cessna jet crashed near Takrady, and it killed 4 people. Mr. Speaker, in 1981, a Ghana Airways flight on a local routine maneuvering also crashed 10 kilometers from the Kotoka International Airport. Even though there were no casualties, the ground damage was severe. Mr. Speaker, in 1983, there was another accident experienced by the Kotoka International Airport. And indeed, in 1985, Mr. Speaker, as recently as 1998, a private jet was involved in an accident at the airport, and a crew of 2 men and 3 passengers were on board, and they perished. Mr. Speaker, in 2000, a Ghana Airways flight with flight number GH200 with a crew of 10 and a 44-man passenger on board was involved in an accident, and 7 persons died. And Mr. Speaker, and there have been recent accidents. So, Mr. Speaker, it's very important that this bill is passed quickly so that we can ready ourselves for the task ahead. Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to the concluding paragraph of the report. Specifically, if you look at paragraph 7, subparagraph 1 on page 8 of the report. And it states that if we are able to establish this particular bureau, it will serve the needs of the aviation hub of West Africa. And Mr. Speaker, on this note, may I urge the House that in approving the report, the minister takes steps to also operationalize the whole airport as an aviation training hub to serve the aviation needs of the West African hub. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I urge the House to approve the report. I thank you very much.
Majority leadership. Any contribution?
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable
we defer
Majority
to the Honorable Member for Bantama, Mr. Daniel Chemwabwaji, to speak on our behalf.
Honorable Member for Bantama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the motion that is being discussed on the floor right now, and to make contribution to the principles underlying the bill that is before us. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the committee, I had the opportunity to participate in the review of the bill, and Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to commend the minister and the ministry for a good job that they did so far. We're expecting to go through about a day or so, but because of how clean it was, we were able to do it. Mr. Speaker, air transport is very important, especially looking at where we are in our development process. And for that matter, any attempt to improve what we have done over the years to actually cement our name and image in the industry is quite important. So I believe that the creation of the Bureau to investigate accidents and incidents and to do prevention is a step in the right direction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I believe that even though since 2012 we've had 4 accidents, it is important that we take steps to create this bureau, to make it quite autonomous, to begin to do more of prevention so that we don't have to wait to get ready before a disaster happens before we'll be able to do this. Mr. Speaker, as part of the government's agenda to make West Africa the aviation hub, Ghana the aviation hub of West Africa, I believe sincerely that this bill, when it is passed, is going to enhance our ability to achieve that vision. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, I believe that creating an independent or autonomous bureau to do the investigation will also align Ghana's practices in line with the international best practices. And I believe the findings and the work of the Bureau, because they're so independent, will be enhanced. It will be probably done very well, effectively, and also enhance our credibility in respect of whatever happens if, God forbid, there is an accident and we have to come up with findings. So, Speaker, this Bureau, as we speak, exists, except that it is an administrative unit within the Ministry of Aviation. So trying to make it an independent autonomous is pretty much basically improving what we already have. And so, and any opportunity to do so, Mr. Speaker, should not be let go. Mr. Speaker, I believe that given the fact that we would like to develop, given the fact that even though we are going through COVID and its effects, this is the right opportunity for us to be able to work on this bill. And I encourage the rest of my colleagues to support, because I believe this will help us to achieve our mission of making Ghana the aviation hub of West Africa. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, all those in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
An act to establish the Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau to investigate, prevent, regulate, and oversee the management of accidents and incidents that occur in the country, and to provide for related purposes.
The Aircraft Accident Investigation and Prevention Bureau Bill 2019 is duly read a second time. Honourable members, item listed for motion. Honourable Minister for Finance. Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I hear some members asking where is the Finance Minister. Indeed, the Speaker, the Finance Minister has been with us, and he is in the Speaker's holding room. The Speaker, I brokered an arrangement with the Minority Leader, and we thought to be able to handle items 9 and 10 before the Finance Minister walks in. Unfortunately, because we spent so long a time on the aviation bill, we believe we should call him in to do item number 4. We should call him in to deal with item. So, Speaker, the man has been here in the presence of this House. You see him in body and spirit. You see him in body, spirit, and soul. In a few moments from now. You guys just wait.
Honorable Hussein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today is a special day in the calendar of Parliament. Yes. Consistent with the requirement of a Minister of Finance to present to the people of this country through Parliament the mid-year review. The Minister of Finance should be eager to do that with alacrity. And so, in a house like this, on this day, he should be here listening even to what we are discussing.
Yeah, Speaker sent notice yesterday.
He should be here. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this is not how we sit. This is not how we sit in this house. But because of the importance of the event, the Speaker yesterday gave directives for the rearrangement of the hall and refused to receive visitors to protect us from coronavirus. The minister is not here.
3 hours.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday you gave an indication that the House will start at 10 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock now.
And where is the finance minister?
And where is the finance minister? Mr. Speaker,
But where is the finance minister? He's not here in the prison.
the finance minister will not come until he is ushered into this house.
Why?
Why will the finance minister be ushered into this house? We know that we accord parliamentary privilege and respect to 2 people in this country, including the Speaker. 3 people in this country, including the Speaker. When the Speaker is entering this our house, he's ushered in, and we have to stand to receive him. When the President is entering this house, he's ushered in, then we stand to receive him. When the Vice President, in the absence of the President, is entering this house, we rise to receive him. We have never reason to receive a finance minister, neither have we ushered him into this house. So the finance minister is a majority leader.
And he's late.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I can see the finance minister being ushered in. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister.
Now that is 3 hours late.
Mr. Speaker, the finance minister has been ushered in. And after 3 hours of our ceremony. But we can understand. This probably might be like his last media review. So we can understand. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Leader.
The Speaker, for the record, it must be stated that the finance minister got to this house at exactly 9:30. For the record, he was here at exactly 9:30. The Speaker, the member who just spoke said that the finance minister is not ushered into the house. We have seen finance ministers whose entry into this house has been serenaded. We have seen finance ministers whose entry into this house has been serenaded. Serenaded. Not mere ushering. Serenaded into this house. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, So I don't know where the member for Tamale Central is coming from. But I should inform the member for Tamale Central that clapping is not known to this house. He was clapping when he was talking. And Mr. Speaker, the clapping ushered in the finance minister. The clapping ushered in the finance minister. And this house should be grateful to him for the clapping that he did, which ushered in the finance minister. Mr. Speaker, I believe the house is now ready to listen to the finance minister. Thank you very much.
Item listed 4. Honorable Minister for Finance. Item 4.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members of Parliament, on the authority of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I beg to move the honorable members of this august House approve the mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana and supplementary estimates for the 2020 financial year, which I present today, 23rd July 2020. Mr. Speaker, I'm performing this function in accordance with Article 179(8) of the 1992 Constitution, Standing Order 143 of this august House, as well as Section 20 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Mr. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana and supplementary estimate for the 2020 financial year. I would like to request the Hansard to capture the entire mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana and supplementary estimate for the 2020 financial year. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank God for the privilege and extend my appreciation to His Excellency the President for the opportunity to lead this important assignment in managing the public finances of this country. I am grateful to God for His grace, mercy, and goodness towards us. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, when we look back at where we were and where we are now, we cannot help but to be grateful. Mr. Speaker, my prayer every morning from Exodus 13, 14, is to ask, and I quote, "The Lord, if you are pleased with me, teach me your ways. But remember that this nation is your people, and may your presence go with us." Mr. Speaker, when we took over the management of this economy in January 2017, things were dire. We were recording the lowest growth in history in most of our critical sectors. Expenditures in sectors like education, agriculture, and health that address the basic human needs of our people were low. This had resulted in low productivity, deteriorating standards of living, and general despondency. There was a general lack of opportunities for social advancement for our fellow Ghanaians. Our governance institutions had also been deprived of the needed resources to play their critical role. Mr. Speaker, through well-thought-out economic and social policies, underpinned by our belief in the ingenuity of our people and improving the well-being and livelihoods of Ghanaians, we set out to restore macroeconomic stability for growth and sustainable jobs, to promote economic freedom by ensuring social mobility and social justice, invest in human capital to improve the lives of Ghanaians, strengthen the PFM system to protect the public purse, and enhance governance institutions by providing more and adequate resources. Mr. Speaker, from 2017 to date, through the diligent implementation of this plan, we managed to completely change the story. Mr. Speaker, not only should we acknowledge what God has done by turning this country around, but we should celebrate his continuous favor on this land. Mr. Speaker, the running theme undergirding all our policies and expenditure plans has been a commitment to invest and improve the lives of Ghanaians to access better opportunities. This principle has underpinned all our programs. Therefore, in implementing the over 15 flagship programs that the President promised, we set out to bring hope, restore confidence in the state, and demonstrate care for the people of Ghana. We sought to restore the self-esteem and dignity of Ghanaians and reduce the grinding poverty that was becoming commonplace. We therefore set out to invest significant resources in the lives of the Ghanaian people by increasing expenditures in education, agriculture, industry, and all of our human capital. Mr. Speaker, in acknowledging that education is the primary driver for upward social and economic mobility, we rolled out a raft of policy measures to improve the opportunities of our people. We invested $3.2 billion to implement free SHS, resulting in over 1.2 million teenagers being in secondary school now, looking forward to better opportunities in life, the Akufo-Addo graduates. For their parents and families, this has translated into $2.2 billion in savings. That is money that the state has put back into the pockets of Ghanaians all across the country, and investments for the state for their future. We have also invested in excess of $1.6 billion in 100,000 jobless but educated young adults who had been ignored by the state and were in despair. Through the new NAPCO initiative, they have been engaged in various state and private institutions, with some of them securing permanent jobs in the process. That is money in the pockets of our youth. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, this government had determined that Ghana will be self-sufficient in food production through our Planting for Food and Jobs program, and would add value to what we produce as well. Create jobs along the value chain under the 1D1F program, which has currently over 70 factories in production, with many more under various stages of construction. So far, we've invested over $1.85 billion in our agriculture sector, resulting in agriculture growth which averaged about 2% between 2014 and 2016 to an average of 5.2% over the past 3 years. That is putting food in abundance on the table of Ghanaians, reducing the cost of living, and putting money in the pocket of over 1.2 million farmers nationwide. We have, Mr. Speaker, relegated Dumso to the past. It is clear to our fellow Ghanaians by now that we have enjoyed 3.5 years of reliable and cheaper power. We have spent in excess of $4.7 billion on capacity payments, not only to ensure that we keep the lights on, but also to pay for power we do not use under very questionable contractual obligations we inherited. Mr. Speaker, to modernize the economy and improve its global competitiveness, we embarked on a transformative agenda to digitalize the economy. We implemented the digital addressing system and the national ID programs to ensure that each Ghanaian and their dwellings, as well as business locations, will be uniquely identified. All these efforts are being made to formalize the economy, improve the way services were delivered to our people, and increase productivity. That is digitizing the lives of Ghanaians. Now more than ever, the possibilities of the digital economy has been brought to the fore. Mr. Speaker, to protect the public purse and advance good economic governance, we set out to fully implement the provisions of the PFM Act 2016, Act 921, including passage of the PFM Regulations 2019, LI 2378, to further strengthen cash management, budget execution, and budget monitoring. Consequently, we have, for the first time in the history of our budget management, consistently, Mr. Speaker, published budget implementation reports, midterm debt strategies, issuance calendars, as well as annual debt reports. Mr. Speaker, never in the history of our public financial management have we seen this degree of openness, transparency, and accountability in the management of our public finance. This has enabled citizens to hold this government more accountable than any other in our history. Mr. Speaker, while accomplishing all these, we also set out to complete the outstanding policy measures under the derailed IMF program which we inherited. This culminated in our exit from the IMF Extended Credit Facility in March 2019, much to the surprise of our friends across the aisle. Mr. Speaker, the previous government had the penchant of awarding contracts by heart, even when they had no idea as to how to pay for them. So to protect the public purse, my ministry initiated and requested the Auditor General to audit and validate over 11 billion CDs of outstanding claims which had been approved and left by the previous government to be paid. The Auditor General validated 6 billion of the 11 billion claims. We await the subsequent surcharging of all those complicit in the submission of the disallowed claims from the Auditor General's department. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to inform this Honorable House that we've paid almost 5 billion of the unpaid bills which we inherited and are managing the public service in a much more responsible manner now. Mr. Speaker, this government under President Akufo-Addo, with these actions, has amply demonstrated its commitment to prudent financial management, investing broadly and inclusively in the nation's development, ensuring value for money, and being held accountable for our actions. Mr. Speaker, we've also put in place key structural measures to sustain our path towards fiscal consolidation, growth, and ensure irreversibility. These include the passage of the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, Act 982, forging social partnerships with organized labor and employers to enhance the quality of dialogue and implementation. We've also established and operationalized the Fiscal and Financial Stability Councils to enhance the monitoring of government's fiscal and financial policies. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, we have initiated a collaboration with faith-based organizations to promote the material, moral, and spiritual growth of our country. This is in recognition of the important role that faith-based organizations have played and continue to play in the peace, security, and development of our dear nation. Right Honorable Speaker, when I presented the President 2020 budget, all the indicators of the economic performance pointed towards a path of sustained consolidation and robust, broad-based growth. The evidence of our superior economic management was clear for all to see. Honorable members of this Parliament approved for government to spend 98,036,692,358 Ghana cedis in the 2020 fiscal year to further the agenda for consolidating the gains to spur growth, jobs, and prosperity for all. Mr. Speaker, a lot has happened since then. While executing the transformation interventions to improve lives and encouraged by the resounding endorsement of the 2020 Eurobond issuance in February, which was oversubscribed by 350%, the novel coronavirus COVID-19 struck swiftly and unexpectedly. In a matter of weeks, Mr. Speaker, what began as a distant outbreak in another part of the world completely overturned our sense of normalcy. The world, for a period, Mr. Speaker, stood still, and the virus uncontrollably disrupting all aspects of our life. The pandemic spread with alarming speed, infecting millions of people around the world and bringing global economic activities to a virtual halt. Its impact has been devastating on the people, businesses, and the economy of the world, with 2.2 billion jobs, 68% of global workforce under threat. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 pandemic is far more than a health crisis. Ghana has not been spared the painful economic and social impact that COVID-19 has visited on peoples in nations, big and small, all over the world. The restrictions on movements has disrupted households and businesses with consequent job losses and reduced incomes in Ghana. The hotel and hospitality industry, trade and industry, agriculture, health, creative arts and media, transportation, manufacturing, education, amphibious organizations, financial services, young entrepreneurs have all been severely affected. Mr. Speaker, not to mention the extensive informal market that is a lot of us Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, a month into the COVID-19 pandemic in April, IMF revised its projections to indicate that 170 countries, that is 87% of world economies, will see per capita income shrink in 2020. The latest forecast from the fund in June predicts a decline of almost 5% in 2020 for the world economy. Mr. Speaker, world trade is also expected to contract by 11.9%, primarily due to the sudden imposition of tight restrictions on movement. This has led to disruptions in the global supply chain, widespread supply shortages, and its attendant increase in prices and reduction in domestic revenues. Sub-Saharan Africa is now projected to contract by 3.2%, 1.6 percentage points worse than the April forecast. Mr. Speaker, the virus has laid bare our vulnerabilities as a world, as nations, as households, and as individuals. As of yesterday, Wednesday, 22nd July 2020, 622,725 persons had sadly succumbed to this virus, and 15,240,290 had been infected across the world. Mr. Speaker, even before we fully grasp the impact of the COVID-19 outbreak, our immediate concerns were on protecting lives and preserving livelihoods of our people. The President moved swiftly with a $100 million preparedness plan, which was prescient and laid the foundation to implement measures to save lives and safeguard economic activities by improving citizens' access to essential public services and helping businesses weather the downturn. Mr. Speaker, thus far, the health consequences of the COVID-19 outbreak in Ghana has not been as devastating as in other countries. Sadly, as of yesterday, 22nd July 2020, 153 Ghanaians had succumbed to the virus. May their souls, Mr. Speaker, rest in peace. We have since March recorded 29,672 cases with 26,090 recoveries, which puts the number of active cases at 3,429. This has largely been due to the fact that government has shown a leadership of conviction that has been decisive, swift, innovative, compassionate in the management of the crisis, and also because our health professionals nationwide have been heroic in handling the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, the pandemic has also brought to the fore the structural gaps in our health delivery system. That is why, with urgency, we have already begun to mount an effective, coordinated, and sustainable long-term response to the health needs of the people. Under the Agenda 111, previously Agenda 88 initiative of His Excellency the President for Hospitals, we will design, build, equip, and staff new hospitals in every district without one, and a new regional hospital in every region with none. This demonstrates government's commitment to protect the lives of Ghanaians. The President has declared that all the district hospitals will be designed and built by Ghanaians, built companies, and will lay the foundation for the launch of the nationwide housing program, God willing, in his second term. Mr. Speaker, these will all be designed by Ghanaians and built by Ghanaian companies. And these construction companies will then have the solid foundation for the launch of also a nationwide housing program, God willing, in the President's second term. Mr. Speaker, we must not and will not be daunted by this extraordinary crisis. Government will continue to do what it has to do to protect lives and support livelihoods through compassionate, competent, and courageous leadership. We have accepted that this pandemic and its effects are unparalleled in the annals of our country and indeed globally. We have accepted that until a vaccine is found, we have no choice but to rearrange our lifestyle in order to protect lives and promote livelihoods. It requires a marshalling of unprecedented resources to contend with the pandemic and its effects on Ghanaians. And Mr. Speaker, this government is up to this task. Mr. Speaker, the predicted long-lasting effect of this pandemic amidst systemic shifts and uncertainties suggests 2020 and beyond will be very challenging. Ghana will therefore need a continuity of courageous, compassionate, and competent government with a well-crafted Ghana will therefore need the continuity of courageous, compassionate, and competent government with a well-crafted program to protect the lives of Ghanaians, safeguard jobs, and support businesses to sustain operations during this period, and especially in the 4 years ahead. This can only be possible with competent economic management of the economy, and we being at the helm. Mr. Speaker, we have proven over and over again that we are better managers of the economy. Together, we took Ghana out of havoc and placed it amongst lower middle-income countries within a decade. Together, we recovered and revitalized a critically weakened economy, and today, we can now attract renowned global automobile companies in just 3 years of returning into office. Together, once again, we will optimize the opportunities presented by this pandemic and build a sustainable future for Ghanaians. In the now famous words of President Akufo-Addo, we know how to bring the economy back to life. Therefore, this 2020 mid-year fiscal policy review and supplementary estimate is the first of our economic plans to reposition Ghana and Ghanaians to deal with the challenges posed by the pandemic and seize the opportunities it brings. Our response to this pandemic prioritizes the protection of our lives and livelihoods, sustains our business operations, and sharpens our focus on Ghana's future beyond aid. Mr. Speaker, I'm presenting updates and progress in implementing the 2020 budget and highlighting the significant impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. I also outlined today the resolute steps being taken to get our economy back on track. In his May address to the nation, the President charged the Minister of Finance to design Ghana's recovery program. Mr. Speaker, we wish to take this opportunity to announce to the people of Ghana that the President and his team have done a lot of thinking since March. We have brainstormed over the crisis with a view of using the challenges it presents rather as an opportunity to transform Ghana, and for all Ghanaians. I'm happy to announce that in the coming weeks, the President will launch a 100 billion, Mr. Speaker, Ghana Cedis Development Program, an ambitious and unprecedented 3.5-year program called Ghana Coronavirus Alleviation Revitalization of Enterprises Support Program. The Ghana Cares Program, Mr. Speaker, or Bantampa Program, which will anchor the comprehensive transformation of our society. Mr. Speaker, I also request supplementary funding to support our priorities of saving lives and livelihoods, supporting businesses to ensure that the health of Ghanaians and their jobs are secure in these challenging times. Mr. Speaker, I now proceed to give details of updated performance for 2019, developments for the first half of 2020, and will conclude with the outlook for the rest of the year and present the supplementary estimates. Mr. Speaker, the global economy has, in the past century, experienced some negative shocks which were deemed unprecedented at the time of their occurrence. Indeed, the Spanish flu of 1918, the Great Depression of the 1930s, and the more recent global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 adversely impacted the world economy. However, as events unfold, it is becoming increasingly evident that the COVID-19 pandemic and its crippling economic effects has an assured place in economic history, as perhaps the singular event that decimated the global economy in ways never imagined. It is a crisis that has tested global and national leadership like none other in the history of the world during peacetime. Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to have dire consequences on Africa. According to estimates of the World Bank, economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa is expected to decline from its 2019 value of 2.4% to between negative 2.1% and negative 5.1% in 2020, making 2020 the worst year since records began in 1970 for the continent's economic growth. According to the IMF's Regional Economic Outlook for Africa, COVID-19, an unprecedented threat to development, April 2020. Let us be in no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that Africa is facing its first recession in 25 years, sadly, after 2 decades of continual economic progress. A recession which threatens to exact probably the heaviest human toll in peacetime in Africa. It is our responsibility as leaders, as the people's elected government, to work out and execute an intelligent, ambitious, and all-inclusive recovery plan than none other that will steer this nation and her people out of the recession before us. That, Mr. Speaker, is a daunting task facing us in Ghana today. Mr. Speaker, the pandemic has also affected Africa's long-term structural response to its economic woes, creating the largest trade bloc at 1.2 billion people for a 3.2 trillion economy. Currently, Mr. Speaker, intra-Africa trade is only 15%. The operations of the African Continental Free Trade Area was scheduled to launch on 1st July 2020, right here in Accra. It has now been postponed to January 2021. Mr. Speaker, at the time I presented the 2020 budget to this August House in November last year, the projected end-year economic performance of 2019 was based on available data for the first 3 quarters. Given that we now have the full